Hello and welcome to the Home and Learn video course for VisualBasic.net. I'm Kenny Carney, and in the previous video we had this for our variables. We set up three variables, an integer, and we stored the number 5 inside number 1, and we stored the number 3 inside number 2. And you learned if you're trying to store something inside a variable, you need the value on the right hand side of an equal sign and the variable name on the left. And you also did the text box. You can store something in the text property of the text box, just like that. So we will continue with this. For whole numbers, you've got three different types of variables. On the end, we've got as integer. You could also put as short, which for values up to about 32,000 and something. And you got integer. So you could have as integer if you wanted for whole numbers. You can also have long, as long. So you can have those three if you wanted to, depending on how big your numbers are. And if you want to store a floating point number, that's a number with point something at the end, then the three other kinds of variables. Let me just whole numbers. Right. So you've got single. That's going to store a floating point. There is also double. That is one. And there's decimal as well. And again, it depends on how precise you want to be. That's least precise to the most precise. I think the double is more precise than decimal. Anyway, this is floating point numbers. And we should demonstrate that now. So we've got integers there, right? Suppose I wanted to store, 5.5, and I want to multiply that by 3. Let's see what happens when we start the form and click the button. Debug, start debugging. So I've got 5.5. I'm adding it one, aren't I? I'll multiply it. So 5.5 plus 3, it should be 8.5. So what we get? We get 9. So that's a bit odd, isn't it? And the reason why is because we've used integers, which are whole numbers. So it's going to chop off the end bit, the 0.5, and you would think it would just have 5.3. But if it's 0.5 or greater, it will round up. Or if it's lower than 0.5, it will round down. But if you actually want the floating point number, then you've got to use one of these: single, double, decimal. Let's try as single. Right, so that's number 1. That should store a floating point. But let's see what happens. Debug. That debugging. Okay, it's still 8. But this time it is rounded down, because we've got a single value. And let's have number 2 as single. Single. That's a floating point. Let's see what difference that makes. It's supposed to be 8.5. Still 8. The reason is, of course, answer is still an integer. That's the whole number. So we can type singles on that one as well. And hopefully, start that debugging. It should be 8.5. And there it is, 8.5. We've finally got there. So, if you want to store a floating point number, then you need either this one, the single, or you need double, or you need this one, decimal. I'm now going to move on and discuss string variables, but before doing so, I just want you to be aware of another type of variable called a Boolean, and you set them up, you might say my bool or something like that, as, and that's a Boolean one. It's quite a popular variable type. This one, it's either a value of true, that, or it can be false. So it can be either of those two, and that's the only two values it can have. Right, so I want you to be aware of that one, Boolean. That's true, they come in handy from time to time. There's also one other thing I'm going to show you. For these assignments here, I've put them all the way down here. Like number 1 is here, number 1 equals 5.5. But for what you can do instead is to put them at the top. So number 1 has single. You can add an equal sign here, and you can store a value like that, all on the same line. So you wouldn't need that. You can put 5.5 there. Likewise for this one, I can add 3 there, and I wouldn't need this one. It's entirely up to you which way you do it. Personally, I like to add them here, like a separate from here. So let me delete that, and we'll now talk about string variables. Go back to your form, add another button, make it a little bit bigger, get the same size of that one. What did I say that one was? 130, so you can do the same here. Size 130, right 30. You can also copy and paste the button as well if you wanted to. For the text property, if you type what is called string test, and the name property, I always like to change the name. Let's say strings. And if you double click in your button, that creates its own code stub. Right. Click event. So for here we had as single, as short, as integer. But if you want to store text, then you need a string type. So dim, I can say, let's try first name. And string. So that's a new variable type. It has string. Let me type it here. String. What am I doing? It's an equal sign there. Just a little heading. Yeah, I like that in capital letters. I can do the capital. String. That one there. Took longer than it should. So dim first name as string. And you can either put something in here just like this, equals. I can say like that. So if you're storing string, then you need some quotation marks. Double quotation marks is what you need. Do that one. Dim last name. No spaces, as string again. String. I'm pressing the tab key. And let's do this one down here. Last name equal sign. Assigning a value. So what's that name? Right. I'm storing it up here first. That is the alternate where, and then I'm doing it down here. Last name. I'm storing a value of Carney into last name. Now for these two variables, I would like to join the first name and the last name. I can use something called a concatenation operator. Let me set up yet another variable. We'll call it full name. Full as string again, and I'm going to say full name. So we're assigning a value here, and I want the first name, this one, first name, and the concatenation operator is just this, the ampersand, and it joins together this, the last name. So first name, concatenate, join together if you like, and last name. Join together these, and let's store it in the text box again. Text box 1, that one, dot text property there, then my equal sign, and whatever I want to store in text, which is full name, and let me see what that does. It hasn't got the space. A string test, and there is a name, but there's no space there. There's no space in between. You've got to add the space yourself. So you can add another pair of double quotes with a space in the middle, and then add another ampersand. First name and a space and last name, and probably that to begin, and there's the space, Kenny Carney. So that is string variables, strings as strings of text, and those are the whole numbers. This one, 3 of them. There's also 3 for floating point numbers, single, double, decimal. They were short, integer, long. And I think we'll leave it there. We'll come back to variables in the next section. Yeah, I will see you then.